I like dolls, but I love books. Okay, I love dolls too, you got me. Hello out there, all you spunky little doll-loving book nerds, and welcome to my channel, where my dolls and I sit and talk about the books we like. Sometimes it's Barbie, sometimes it's Illy, sometimes it's Monster High, sometimes it's a Disney princess, sometimes it's whatever, you get the point, unless I really carry on. Basically, my dolls and I have our own little book club. My name is Daniel, and I am the Barbie book boy. Once upon a time, when I was a little bald thing of 4 or 5 years old, a grown-up asked me what I wanted to be for Halloween. And I had my answer locked and loaded. Realizing that Halloween was all about being scary, I had decided I wanted to be the absolute scariest thing that I had seen in my short little handful of years up to that point. So I puffed out my little chest and I proudly proclaimed, I want to be the Wicked Witch of the West. Immediately, I knew I had said something wrong because I watched that grown-up's face shift into a grimace. Imagine my disappointment when I was told in no uncertain terms that I couldn't possibly be the Wicked Witch of the West for Halloween because she was a girl. This made no sense to little bald Daniel. I wasn't a bald kid, I had hair, but anyway. The Wicked Witch was a badass. She could fly and shoot fireballs out of her hands at people. And she had a castle and an army of flying monkeys. She had green skin. What gender is green? I mean, aside from her fabulous taste in footwear, there wasn't anything particularly feminine about her. It's not like I'd ask to go dressed in little tiny Marilyn Monroe drag. Gender. That adult is no longer in my life. I can't have that kind of negativity stifling my witchy dreams. You best believe I grew up to dress as the Wicked Witch for Halloween when nobody could tell me no. Actually, it's kind of the same way with my dolls. Couldn't have any as a kid, so I've kind of lost my mind making up for it now. And my love of witch lore has only exponentiated since I was shamed at 4 years old, which is why I'm so excited to talk about today's book, The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno Garcia. But don't just take my word for it. I've got a friend here who, well, let's just say is somewhat of an expert on witches. And that friend is none other than Enchanted Halloween Barbie. So I actually have several very many witch dolls, including a Wicked Witch of the West Barbie. So you might be wondering why I picked this gal. And I don't know. The only explanation I can think of is that she put a spell on me. And I'm totally here for it because just look at her in her gorgeous little black and orange skin-tight witch's dress. And her little witch boots are absolutely perfect for this little theme she's got going on. And I love the orange highlights in her hair that just kind of tie everything together. The only thing that gives me pause about this outfit is the bottom of her dress looks like flames and it's just a little too burn the witch for me. But other than that, she's totally got it going on. Can I borrow your hat? So let's get into it. Your hat doesn't fit me very well, but I have one of my own. Do you guys like my Creature of the Night hat? What do you think? Is it cool? I don't feel like wearing a hat today. Anyway, young college student Minerva grew up on stories about witches that were told to her by her great-grandmother, Alba. I grew up on get the hell out of this house and don't come back inside until the sun's going down. Then I'd get locked out of the house for the day and was forced to pee in a lilac shrub while drinking from an algae-ridden garden hose. I'm just saying I would have preferred a witchy grandma full of spooky stories. Anyway, to this day, Minerva treasures these stories, to the point that it's actually what she went to college for. I didn't go to college, so I didn't know you could major in horror stories. I mean, I might have gone if I had known that. And of course, Horror Story College is in New England, because where else would it be? And that's where Minerva is studying. Naturally, she's writing her thesis on horror literature, specifically the life of an obscure author called Beatrice Tremblay. Side note, I spent the entirety of this book thinking that Beatrice Tremblay was a real author, and I got all excited to read her stuff until I found out that she's actually a fictional character. So yeah, I'm for sure gullible. Remember, I didn't go to college, people. But the character of Beatrice is sort of loosely reminiscent of Shirley Jackson, who absolutely was real, so I'll just go read her stuff. Anywho, while working on her thesis, Minerva goes down a rabbit hole of researching the fake events that inspired fake Beatrice's fake novel called The Vanishing that I totally can't read. Deep breaths, Daniel, just calm down. Rabid bats. ghosts, Black Death, mummies, scorpion pie. Beatrice actually attended the same university as Minerva, but back in the 30s, and she had a roommate named Virginia that one day mysteriously disappeared. And now Minerva is in the thick of it, researching Beatrice and Virginia, all while some pretty creepy things actually start happening to her as well, which makes her suspicious that history is repeating itself. And ain't no college class gonna prepare you for that, I assume. Again, I didn't go. But she thinks the same events happening to her are being done by the same presence or entity that was haunting Virginia back in Beatrice's day. History is just an unruly Ouroboros from which there is no escape. See, that sounded smart-ish. I totally could have gone to college, Minerva. But Minerva can't help feeling a connection between what's happening to her and the stories that her Nana Alba used to tell her about her own battles with evil and witches. So again, Ouroboros. And I thought student loans were bad. Now there's haunted college campuses. Anyway, that's basically the story of The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno Garcia. So what are my thoughts? I think I want to apply to horror story college with a minor in UFO studies. That's how much I love this book. It inspired me to higher education. I can't wait to be a bright-eyed college freshman. I hope I don't get hazed by any evil entities. I don't have time to be haunted. I've got midterms to study for. But seriously, this is the first book I've read by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and I know she's got a super popular novel called Mexican Gothic that I will for sure be reading. Because after The Bewitching, I instantly became a massive fan of her writing. She hooked me. The quality of her writing is, dare I say, bewitching. And never having really spent much time in New England myself, I absolutely became immersed in the cozy vibes thanks to her exquisite talent. But just in case New England is a little bit too chilly for you, don't worry. Silvia also skillfully takes us down to Mexico for some warm Mexican mythology. So between the 3 timelines in this book, you will be expertly whipped from one climate to another. And it works because Silvia knows exactly how to assemble and pace and develop a story. And she's just as skilled with her character development. I want to be friends with Minerva. She's a nerdy academic who loves coffee and horror stories. And if she liked fashion dolls, she'd probably need an order of protection to keep me away from her. But I strongly suspect she'd like me. After all, she does have a gay friend in the book, so if she's ever looking for a replacement to fill that role, and we can be study buddies now that I've decided to enroll in horror college. But if we're going to be friends with Minerva, I should probably warn you about some of the more challenging themes in this book. There's a touch of animal cruelty worked into some of the magic spells. Speaking of, I actually saw an interview that Silvia did where she touched on the topic of the spells in the book, and she mentioned that none of the spells were actual real spells or anything like that, that they were just made up, so it felt like a little bit of a disclaimer, since the requirements for some of these spells were, icky. So don't go trying them at home. It's just a fictional book, people. But I should also mention that there is some essay content in the book and some inappropriate familial relationships. So be warned. So there you have it, my thoughts on The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno Garcia. A triple thread of witchery, coffee, and cozy New England weather. Of eerie tales and myths, of snobbery versus the working class. Thank you so much for watching. My dolls and I are going to be doing these little videos weekly, so if this is your thing, then stay tuned. Oh, and while you're here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment for Enchanted Halloween Barbie. Tell her what you'll be dressing up as for Halloween this year. She also takes spell requests. Do you happen to have any magic spells for regrowing hair?